My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to episode number 21 of the Transport Fever 2 O Canada series. And this, as you know by now, is a custom map that I downloaded from the Steam Workshop, a link to which is available in the description below if you'd like to try it out for yourself. And what we're doing is we're obviously taking this map, I think we started in 1870 I think it was, and we're just seeing what we can do with it. Now obviously in episode 20 what we did is we turned our attention to Calgary, and any processed goods that we were currently manufacturing, we were now delivering them into Calgary and the surrounding districts. Obviously the aim here is to see some long-term city growth, which is going to help our cities, well, grow obviously, but it's also going to help our business because that generates more passengers and it also generates a high demand for the goods, so we can make money in terms of both extra freight and extra passengers. Now passengers being the key for today's episode, because what I'd like to do is start some into suburb, because I won't really say it's into city, because technically the idea is the 4 districts and Calgary itself will form one large city, so some inner city transport links I suppose is a better term to use for this, and yes, I'd like to get some of them set up as well. However, before I get started with that, I just wanted to take a moment and say a personal thank you, because when I checked this morning before I started recording this episode, I noticed that we are up to 114 subscribers to the channel now, and I assume most of you are here for Transport Fever 2, which is the bread and butter of the channel, and will remain so despite the recent foray into RimWorld. I'll put a link to that series in the top corner of this video if you'd like to check that out. But yes, I just wanted to say thank you very much to you all who have subscribed, and those of you who haven't subscribed yet but follow along to the series anyway, thank you as well. You know, every view does help, and I'm glad you appreciate what we're trying to accomplish here. And if you are one of those who haven't yet subscribed, you know, may I politely recommend and humbly recommend that you go ahead and do subscribe. That way you'll be first to know on any future content. Now, one last thing before we do get started. I know this introduction is being drawn out just a little, but next week I am working 12-hour shifts due to a small COVID outbreak at work, and that's obviously taken a few of our engineers out of commission, so I volunteered to do a few 12-hour shifts overnight. Now, as you can imagine, 12-hour night shifts aren't the most pleasant things to do, so my schedule for next week is largely going to be eat, sleep, work, and then repeat. I will try and get some content up there. I do have another RimWorld episode ready to go, but I will try and get at least 2 Transport Fever 2 episodes up next week as well. So if it is a little bit slower next week, I do apologise for that, and I just ask you to bear with me. Unfortunately, obviously we are still living with this awful disease and pandemic, even though things are starting to look a little bit brighter thanks to the vaccine rollout, and we'll not get into the politics of all that obviously. But yes, obviously it is still with us, and from time to time it does have an impact on our lives, as I'm sure we can all agree, regardless of our political opinions and viewpoints. But for now, that's enough about reality. Let's immerse ourselves in the wonderful world of Transport Fever 2, as we see some of our passengers just leaving Calgary station there to head into the city. So as I said, what we are going to do today is some inner city transport links. So we have this large station here ready to go in the Calgary centre itself, and I did allude to the fact that we could run a few dart style lines between the various suburbs of Calgary, and I think that's what we're going to aim to achieve today. So I think the most obvious one to start with would be a link to southwest Calgary. Now we do have a bus link, we can see some of our buses here heading between the two, but I think a little transit link would also be very beneficial for us. So to kickstart that, what we'll do is we'll get I'm on the wrong screen, we'll get a small passenger station, and I think we'll just have it as a 2-track station, this one, and we'll have it relatively small as well, just 120 meters I think will be okay. And just on the edge of this road here is where we're going to situate it, and then obviously the tracks are going to run down here and connect into this little junction here that we pre-laid in a previous episode. So let's get on with that straight away. Now I am mindful, obviously we do have this industry here, however as I mentioned previously, chances are this would be handled primarily by road vehicles and we won't have any rail lines heading into here, because hopefully eventually southwest Calgary and Calgary itself will spread in towards this area and merge, and I'd rather not have freight trains running through all of that, because that's obviously going to have a very nasty impact on the noise pollution for the residents, which is going to stymie any future growth. So let's just press on now with this train line. Obviously the terrain here isn't the greatest, as we can see. It does drop off quite sharply almost immediately from the station. So if I just play about with it a little bit, we might be able to take the edge off it somewhat. So it's still coming down the ways as we can see here, but it doesn't seem to be as severe as it was. So I think we can accept that as a decent enough compromise. And then we'll just link the two together like so. And I imagine, or well, how do I imagine? I know that this will just be a single track line with a short rail bus eventually, obviously when we unlock rail buses, running between the two stations. So obviously the next challenge we have is to navigate these two roads here. Now this first one should be fairly easy. It is in a natural dip. Well, it's not natural, we created it. So having a bridge over that, okay. I mean, that is one way to do it, game. However, I think you'd be better if you had a bridge there. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to let us have one, is it? Let's see what we can do about that. Let's just cancel that off and try that again. And instead of remaining flat, what about if you rise up with the land? And hopefully that will give us enough of a jump, so to speak, to, yes, there we go, there's the bridge we wanted. Let's get it straight, however, just like that. And I think if we keep this level, just for aesthetic purposes, and then from here it can start heading downwards if it wants to, although it is quite steep. But maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, because if we can keep it elevated from this road, it'll encourage the placement of a second bridge over this little street as well, which is obviously going to mean there's no traffic flow disruption due to the level crossing. So let's see if it will give us a bridge. No, it will not. It's going to hump the road up something fierce. So let's just come back just a touch and try that again. So instead of coming down, stay level. Now that should surely be enough height there to put a bridge in. Yes. There we go. Yes, I think that should be okay. I mean, the tree does clip into the underside of the bridge a little, but I think we can suspend disbelief for now. Do we want a long bridge, or would we want earthworks on this section? Let's compare. I think earthworks, if I'm honest. And then all it's going to do is come down into here like so. That would work quite well. What platforms do our trains use at the moment? Okay, so they are using these platforms. So what we might have to do is the Calgary main line may have to be routed onto platforms 3 and 4 here, which would free up these two platforms for the local services. I think that's probably the most logical solution to this. How does a train line look? It doesn't look too bad, but what we'll do very quickly is just smooth the gradient off just a touch, just to blend it in a little better. There we go, and same over here as well. That way it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb quite as much, although it is still very obvious. And while we've got the tool, we'll just take the edge off this lip here as well, where we put the road in previously. There we go. It's a bit up and down, as we can see looking along the length of the track there, but I think just for a local commuter dart sort of service, it should work quite well. Okay then, so we could also have one line run alongside the main line and have a small stop here in southeast Calgary as well. And I think we could fit it in quite comfortably just here at the side of this road on this little junction. And I think we might keep this down to one platform. What's behind us there in terms of buildings? Could we fit it onto the corner? Yes. And it gives us a clear shot out the way for future rail line expansion. It is a bit of an odd placement, I think, for a train station, but given what we've got to work with, I think we can live with it. And then, just like before, it'll be a nice, easy connection, hopefully, we say with bated breath, over the river and into the awaiting line just there. We've kept the river navigable if we do want to use some water vessels in the future. And then if we connect them like that, we have a double slip switch there, so they can use both platform 1 and 2. And I think what we'll also do... In fact, no, yeah, that's fine. That gives... No, we need a quick junction just here, like this. Whether we'll ever actually make use of it or not, I'm not sure. But it's nice to have the option in case we do need it. And then we'll just put a few signals in, and these... for now will have to be two-way, like that, because obviously this is single track rail over here. We could put passing loops in later on, but for the time being I don't think it's gonna really be necessary. And then we'll have those there like so. Okay, now as we can see, there is a catchment between the train station here and our passenger exchange there, so there's no need to set up a second bus service here. And we do have a bus line for southwest Calgary, as we can see, running through this city, so the passengers can get in and around the town. But what we are going to do is just... oh no, that's already got the correct name, southwest Calgary, so that's okay. This doesn't want to be Branch, although, no, the station wouldn't be called Branch, the line may be called Branch, but the station certainly wouldn't. However, as we can see, we don't have any bus services for southeast Calgary, so we are going to have to drop those in while we're here. So let's quickly do that. Okay, we can't put a stop on the junction. We can, however, put one there and there. And I think we'll go for the traditional setup where we have a clockwise and a counterclockwise service. So I'll just do the one first of all, just to get a rough idea as to how it's going to look. Yeah, and then it'll come down here and back the way. So this one is going to just basically be on the opposite side of the street to the ones we've just put down. So that's very easy, and that gives us full coverage across this city and good connectivity. I don't think we have a vehicle depot out this far. Oh, we have one here which we can use. So let's go ahead and set up these two bus lines first of all. In terms of colour scheme, we shall have a pink for line number 1. And you are heading this way. You picked the wrong stop there, but you should automatically change. Yes, you did. And then you're heading to that one there, then there, and finally over here. Perfect. So then we'll do another line, and this one shall be yellow. We don't have anything yellow running down here, so there's no confusion when we're looking at the overview. And then you are coming up this way to this stop, and then your final stop will be here at Chestnut Street. And that's the two loops. I'll quickly name these up, and then we'll get some buses assigned to them in a moment. Okay, here we go. We've got bus service Southeast Calgary 01, bus service Southeast Calgary 02. So now, as I said, we can go ahead and purchase the road vehicles from this depot here. Passenger will use the max, and shall we have, say, 5 per line? I think that should be more than enough. So we'll take the first 5, colour them pink. I think that was the right shade, but it doesn't really matter. And then yellow for line number 2. Okay, so that's connectivity to the station. As I said, we've already got connectivity to the station here. So what we can do now is get 2 train services shuttling in and out of Calgary Central, one to Southeast Calgary, which may, if we can get it to do it, obviously we do go into a tunnel here, but it may actually join into the main line, so we can have a local line up to Okotoks, or maybe we could branch it off towards Black Diamond and Priddis and Longview if we so wished. Likewise with Southwest Calgary, eventually we could extend it out towards Priddis, Black Diamond and so forth. Bragg Creek, and obviously don't forget Vulcan over here on the edge of the map as well. But for now we'll keep them as just a 2-stop line. Although we could have it go 1 to 2 to 3 and then back again, because we have the connectivity here and here with the double slip switch. So that's an option. However, first of all, what we want to do is the intercity main line needs to be rerouted onto platforms number 3 and 4. So let's do that now. Manage the line. So at Calgary here, you are now going onto platform 4. Yes, that's the correct one. And then here, it will be number 3. There we go. Right then, so now we can set up the line for the DART system, so to speak. So we have connectivity into there, obviously. However, we can reach there, but we can't. Oh yes, because from here it's trying to head back to Southwest Calgary, and it can't quite do that. However, if we then put an intermediate stop there, it should get rid of the problem, which indeed it has. And there we go. We want a nicer colour than that, I think. And I will go for green for this. And this will be Calgary Dart 01, maybe. If you have any better naming suggestions for this line, please let me know and I will consider them and potentially use them. But for now, that will do as a temporary stopgap, although it could become permanent if there's nothing better suggested to me. Right, so now we can purchase a train and we can use this depot out at Bottrell. So in terms of locomotives then, for a local service you don't want anything too grand. I'm thinking perhaps the Rogers 10-wheeler for this. It does have more speed than the Mogul, so yes, I think we'll go for the 10-wheeler. And we want... Now this has higher speed and higher capacity. So we will go for this, but then again it is quite expensive. No, we'll go for it. We'll have just 2, however. And we'll purchase 2 of these trains. That'll cost us just under 10 million, which we can very comfortably afford, as we can see. So let's get them purchased. We'll colour them green so they suit their line. And then, oh no, we can't see it, so we have to zoom over here very quickly. And now we should be able to, yes, assign them to the DART. There we go, so that started some interconnectivity between 2 of the districts into central Calgary. Getting into northeast Calgary probably will not be feasible just because it would require a very sharp turn, although we could have it out to northwest Calgary and then interchange over to northeast Calgary. That could work quite well. And then the other line that we have here could head off towards Irvine and Airdrie and maybe even up towards Bottrell as well, because we don't have connectivity in terms of passengers at any of these stations yet. We do have Cochrane, it's on the main line, but we don't have Bottrell, Airdrie or Irvine. So for the time being, however, as I said, we're going to focus on these suburbs here. So we'll locate a suitable location. That doesn't make much sense. we'll source a suitable location for our station in northwest Calgary. Right, let's have a look, shall we? We'll go for 2, and again we'll keep it relatively small, I think. Now, up here does lend itself quite well, I think. It would give us plenty of room to get the track up here. It would also give us a perfect chance to get over to northeast Calgary, and it also sets up for a run out to Airdrie, Bottrell and Irricana. However, the one downside to this is it would require extensive terrain modification on the far side of the station, as we can see here. However, I think we can deal with that with some terrain modification very quickly. There we go. It just takes the edge off somewhat. Just for the time being, as a quick and dirty and cheap fix, it will work. This will not be upper northwest Calgary, it will just be northwest Calgary. And then what we'll do, we'll get the line connected over to here, and we'll have one run out towards northeast Calgary. Keep getting my cardinal points mixed up. Right, so enough clicking through the menus. So we'll run out flat for now, like that. And I think, in fact, we'll have you merge in like this. 40 miles an hour is fine. And then obviously one line will go straight on to northeast, and one will branch over to central Calgary. Or rather, one will go to central Calgary and one will branch off to northeast. This is obviously the primary line into the centre of the city, so the branch line will be the one heading to northeast Calgary. As we can see, this is quite steep here. So initially, while we have the, you know, mediocre in terms of power trains available to us, this is going to be a struggle for them. But as time progresses, especially when we can get electrification... Okay. So, oh my god, that's like a roller coaster. It's like a fairground ride, that. Let's rethink this then. Take it all the way back up here. Like that. And I think if we start from this side... So we'll start first of all by navigating the river. Where's this? There's the strait. There we go. Okay, come back just a touch. Where's the strait? There we go. Snap. I'm thinking we tunnel, and we could have an S-bend tunnel to gain elevation over a short, as the crow flies, distance. That could work. So first of all, we'll start by, we'll go flat just very, very briefly while we start the tunnel entrance, because we don't want it to look too bizarre against the side of the road. There we go. And now, as I said, I think we could get away with an S-bend here, but we will allow the game to select the aggressive gradient, because it is going to be required. This is not the easiest task in the world. And we are still quite a ways underground. And I'm starting to question the wisdom of this and whether it's actually worth it. Okay. Take that back again. I mean, we could have a corkscrew. We already have one, and it worked quite well for us, so a second one wouldn't be too bizarre, because otherwise I think we are really going to struggle to get up there. In fact, yes, I've changed my mind entirely. The station will not be located there, it shall be located here. Now, that means when we build our lines out towards Airdrie and Irricana, we may have to demolish some residential buildings here, but I think I'd prefer to do it that way around. Especially if it means we can get into the station a lot easier. So again, we'll just get rid of the unnecessary terminology there, and then we'll see if we could get a decent... We're still quite high up there, aren't we? Now, I know there's a collision, but it's also giving us too much slope. But I think that might be this little bit here. Right. So, let's get rid of the... Oh, maybe we can do it from the tunnel, in fact. Let's see. No. Okay, then. Bit of... I probably should have experimented with this off camera before I started recording it, but we're seeing it live, so... It might be frustrating for people who can clearly see the solution to this, and if it is frustrating, I can only apologise. My only hope is that you can laugh at my sheer incompetence at trying to connect this station. Okay. Having a bit of a nightmare here, people. Let's take it all the way back. All the way. In fact, let's go back as far as the junction there. So, don't drop down any more than you have to, because you can be climbing when you get to the other side of the river. There we go. That elevation is crazy. Okay, take 3. I do apologise for this. As I said, I only hope you can see the funny side of it, and you're not sat there pulling your hair out in frustration. Believe me, I'm not far off that myself, but I think I might have found a solution. And if this doesn't work, I'll abandon it for now, and then I'll do it off camera, or I'll play with it off camera, come up with a decent solution, and then in the next episode, I'll put in place what I come up with. But hopefully, I've got it. Hopefully. Can we get onto this line here? No, is the answer to that. Oh, we can cross over, but it's gonna look silly. Okie dokie, okie dokie, okie dokie, right. So, the whole 10 minutes, or however long it took me to do all that, has just been wasted. As I said, what I'll do, I'll have a play off camera, see what solution I can come up with that works and also looks decent, and then in the next episode we'll put it into practice. In the meantime, if you think you could adequately describe what you see in your mind's eye as a potential solution, do leave it in the comments below. I'll try and interpret it as you're trying, as a true reflection to what you're suggesting. And if it's a good idea and it works, we'll put it in place. Well, at least we got 2 of the suburbs connected. And as we can see here, already got massive uptake. 49 at southwest Calgary, 53 at southeast Calgary. Has our train arrived? Which one of them is just arriving here. I'm not sure if they've made any pickups yet though. I can't remember how to open the passenger chart. Oh, it's on the line, isn't it? Of course it is. Here we go. Charts. No, they haven't made a pickup yet. So our second train, therefore, logically is going to be behind this one. Perhaps this is the little fella here? No, that's the mainline train. In fact, these mainline trains now need upgrading, don't they? Let's edit them all, and you can all be blessed with the 442 Atlantic, I think. There we go. Modify all them. Colour them yellow. As always, while we're on the topic of leaving suggestions, if you would like to see your name applied to any train, obviously, as always, let me know and I shall do it. You can choose any vehicle that we have on the map, obviously excluding the ones that are currently spoken for, which are the Peter A and the Marshalls. But yes, let me know. Obviously, please indicate what train and or line you would like to have named after you, and I shall do my best to honour them. Obviously, if you're all calling for the same train, I may have to do names out of a hat. So yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So I think for the time being, it's been a bit frustrating this episode, and when you look at the grand scheme of things, all we've done is put down 2 train lines, so haven't done a great deal. But I didn't anticipate the problems with Northwest Calgary. God damn it. But I think we will leave it off here, and as I said, I'll go away, have a little play about over here, see what solution I can come up with. In the meantime, if you do have one yourself, if you can, do your best to adequately describe it in the comments. I know that's not going to be the easiest thing to do, but if I can read it correctly, I will have a go at interpreting it. Obviously, if you're feeling a bit artistic, you could include a rudimentary diagram chucked together in Microsoft Paint. That may help. But yeah, for the time being, yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope it wasn't too frustrating and teeth-shatteringly annoying to watch me mess about and fail 3 times over here. As I said, hopefully it was a bit amusing for you. So all that remains for me to say at this point, ladies and gentlemen, is as always, take very good care of yourselves. Ta-ta for now.